Hello everybody and welcome back, where today we're talking about Dig VR, a PSVR2 game that actually has been coming to the platform for a while. I think it got pushed back a little bit because it first released on Quest, but it's finally here, and is it any good? How in-depth of a simulator is it? Which flat screen games are kind of the most equivalent to it, and will you enjoy it if you play, say, Farming Sim and other games like that? Well, we're answering those questions today, along with the PSVR2 specific questions about how it looks, how it uses the features, all that good stuff. Before we get into it, only 25% you are subscribed, so please feel free to do so, and thank you to our patrons and members who are all on screen right now. With that being said, let's talk Dig VR. For full transparency, it's exam season for me, so I'm a little bit busy trying to wrap that all up before the start of next month. So I haven't completed Dig VR. I've played a good few hours of it, and there's a lot of content to go through here. And that'll be my first point, is that that's a very good thing. Dig VR places you in the role of a person who operates a digger. You've got your own dig company, and you take on jobs around the map, going from house to house, and escalating your jobs to bigger and better ones that pay more. There's a lot to do here, from the main campaign to finding lost treasures to mini games, and overall you'll never be bored. If you're sick of cutting down trees or digging holes or replacing pipes, you could hop in and do some bowling in your digger or hook a duck. There's a lot to do. That being said, even the main missions offer a lot in terms of gameplay. As I said, there's your normal digging jobs, there's hauling stuff, there's replacing pipework, there's cutting down trees, there's compacting soil, there's all sorts that goes far beyond the name Dig VR. But dig, compact, saw, cut, replace, VR doesn't really have the same ring to it, does it? As for story, it's overall quite light. There isn't an overarching narrative or anything like that, but each location you go to does have its own little story of why you're there and why you're doing the job, with characters that own estates and houses and properties that feed nicely into that British style of humour. So if you like British humour, you're going to feel at home here. However, all of this would be null and void if using the digger was a chore, and luckily it's not. Dig VR has some pretty damn good controls. It feels like you're actually operating these machines, even though the only experience I've ever had with it was the little ones you play on as kids at play areas when you were little. However, it does feel pretty good here. Each of the joysticks are either operational by motion controls or by the sticks on your controllers, though I would say definitely go for the motion controls. That does feel the best, for me at least, with a couple of other controls for, say, attaching different items to the end of your digger by pressing X to release what you're holding onto the floor. While overall the digging feels good, I did run into one or two issues with object collision where I was clearly scooping an area of dirt, but the dirt just didn't react, and I had to go basically reposition myself a couple of times until the game realized what I was trying to do, which was a bit frustrating. But apart from that, it's been a pretty bug-free and seamless experience. If you're more of a casual player, Dig VR offers a Zen mode, which gives you basically a smaller payout for each mission, but if you'd like to get penalized for things like running over objects, over digging the area you're in, or crashing into certain things and breaking people's stuff, then there's also a graded mode.
Oh dear. Oh fuck. Oh, okay. Oh, that was going so well.
Throughout my time with it so far, the campaign has felt very varied overall, and ultimately actually a fair bit of a challenge, but a slow-paced challenge. It rewards precision, and ultimately there's only a certain amount of precision you can get with motion controls in VR, and I did run into some frustration with trying to get the last few percentages of the areas you have to dig out, for example, leading to me either restarting the level or just digging out a larger area than I should have and getting penalized for it. But that just kind of comes with the nature of not having actual physical joysticks there. I'm very tempted to attach my two Protas attachments that I have for No Man's Sky for those joysticks into this game to see how it fares. So maybe that's something to try out in the future, but ultimately most players, won't have something like that because that's a very niche product. So overall, you will run into maybe a few frustrating moments with having to dig out certain precise areas. But overall, it's a pretty fun and slow-paced experience. If you enjoy games like Farming Simulator where you're just kind of chipping away at tasks and you're taking things slowly and you're relaxing a bit, this is probably the game for you. So overall gameplay-wise for Dig VR, outside of the PSVR2 port nature of it, which we'll talk about lastly in a second, I have enjoyed my time with it. It does get a little bit tedious with some of the finicky motion controls at times, but for the most part, it's pretty fun and responsive. The missions so far at least have been very varied. Every time I've gotten slightly bored of a certain mechanic on its own, they've introduced something different, and I think that's something quite difficult to do in a game like Dig VR, which is a light sim that on the surface seems like a very simple premise, but they've done well here. It's not the most in-depth simulator of all time, but it's a perfectly fun one. As for a PSVR2 port, this is where there are some great things and some not so great things. Visually, the game is fine. It's vibrant enough on the headset, but as you can see, this was made for standalone in mind. The shadow work is actually pretty nice, but overall, the models and textures are pretty simple looking and vary in sharpness throughout the game, because if something is further away from you, it does have that bit of aliasing shimmer, and if it's close to you, it does look very damn sharp. So it's a little bit inconsistent there, but ultimately I'd rather a little bit of shimmering over a blurry anti-aliasing mess, if that makes sense. So overall visual presentation is alright, it's exactly what you see here. As for PSVR2 features though, pretty damn good. I didn't really notice any haptic triggers or headset rumble, but haptics in the controllers are very strong for certain actions here. And one particular thing that I was quite worried about when I got to it in the game, which was attaching different tools to the front of the digger, actually turned out to be a breeze because of the way they've utilized the PSVR2 features here. So when you detach an attachment from the front of your digger, you have to then select another one, which means looking at its little sprite and then moving your digger arm over to it. However, this is an absolute breeze because of the eye tracking they've utilized on PSVR2. You just look at the attachment you want, press X, and there you go, it's on. And understandably, this game runs at non-reprojected frame rate. I think it's 90, I don't think it's 120, but I could be wrong. But overall, it feels really smooth. Very nice job there. So overall with Dig VR, I've really enjoyed my time with it so far. I'm sorry I can't give you a full review of all the content in the game, it's just a bit too busy right now, but I do appreciate your support nonetheless. Does it look like a game you're interested in? It didn't on the surface for me, but now that I've kind of gotten into it a little bit, it is actually quite a lot of fun. Anyway, thank you all so much for watching, and I hope to see you all in the next one.